Hello, adventurers, travelers, and friends, and welcome back to a Braggworthy Adventures video. I'm your host, Rose. I am heading to Passport Health. It's like this medical place where you can get vaccines and stuff for trips abroad outside of the US. So my mom mentioned it to me as a place that she went before she went horseback riding in Argentina, and I have a lot of questions for them, so I'm gonna head there and hope to get my questions answered and share the information I learn with you guys. I think maybe it's in the front. What's that one? Is that it? Ha! There it is! Okay, so I just did an hour-long consultation and I got a lollipop, but I didn't get any shots. Not today. So today was really just to try and figure out all the details because I'm going to so many different countries and I've never been on a trip like this before, so I really just kind of wanted to figure out what vaccinations I need, when do I need to get them, like why get them from here, what else do I need to know, what do I need to bring, all the things. And so she was very patient and very kind and went through a ton of information with me. I couldn't record any of it, so you won't be able to see it or conversation. I did do a voice recording so that I could refer to it repeatedly, and I'm gonna go ahead and wrap those notes all together and create a presentation for you guys so you know what I know about my big trip, about my Braggworthy adventure. So I am back from Passport Health and I've gone through all the information they gave me and compiled some slides and some information to share with you guys. Now keep in mind that the information I share is specific to my trip and to right now. Right now we're in 2020. When you go on your trip, you may go to different places. Cities even affect this, not just countries themselves. You may be going at a different time. There could be different diseases around. For instance, polio, the places that are infected, changes weekly. And also, you may have different questions than I did that you need answered, and Passport Health can help with that. So I would definitely go to Passport Health before your big trip, your Braggworthy adventure, just to make sure all of your questions are answered. But here is some preliminary information on what I learned for my trip. So I want to tell you what I learned and the vaccines I'm going to need, why I'm going to need them, and how much they're going to cost, which, whew, it is a pretty penny, people. But these are the vaccines that I'm going to need before my trip. I'm going to need Hep A, typhoid, and Tdap, which is a tetanus booster shot. Now these are kind of for all parts of the world. So that's why the map is there and it's all just gray. So Hep A, most people get this when they're younger, or they can get this when they're younger. I didn't. It's transmitted by food and water, which means if I travel and I don't have the Hep A vaccine, I need to be hyper conscious about what food I eat. I need to make sure that I drink out of water bottles that are unopened, that I don't have any fresh fruits or veggies that may have been washed, like no pico that could have had like a washed tomato cut up and put into it. Because then I'm more at risk. So I definitely want to get this vaccine before I go because I want to eat fresh fruits and veggies and I don't want to avoid them for 6 months. Typhoid is recommended worldwide, but specifically Southern Asia and Southern Africa are affected by typhoid, so it is definitely a get before you go. Now Hep A and typhoid are the same cost, they're $125 each. But for Hep A, you need 2 doses. The first dose lasts 36 months. So since my trip's only 6 months, I really only need 1 dose before I go. But the second dose is for a lifetime. So I'm probably gonna get both doses because I don't plan on stopping traveling anytime soon. Tdap, or the tetanus shot, a booster is recommended every 5 years. Now, honestly, I don't go to the doctor much. I'm really quite healthy. And so that means things like knowing when I last got a booster shot for tetanus, I don't know. I have no idea. So I should probably get one. So cholera, $300. And whew, that's not the most expensive one that we're going to talk about. But it is very important for China, Kenya, and Thailand. 3 places I want to go on my trip. You're more at risk in rural areas. This is also transmitted by food and water, just kind of like Hep A was. The next vaccine, which I'd never even heard of this disease before, I definitely heard of cholera, but Japanese encephalitis. It's recommended for Australia, Cambodia, South Korea, China, Indonesia, which is where Bali is, Japan, Laos, Singapore, Taiwan, and Thailand. So 10 out of 12 places that I'm going to be going to on this trip. It's $375 and 3 different doses. So 2 doses need to be taken before the trip, and they need to be taken 1 month apart. So at the very least, I need to go get my vaccines a month and a half before I leave on my trip so I can get both doses. The 3rd dose I can take when I get back, and it'll extend the lifetime of that vaccine. It's a very dangerous disease. All diseases are not great, but this one, 30% of the people who contract it end up dying. So I really want this vaccine because I would like to not die. It is transmitted by mosquitoes, which honestly, like food and water transmitted diseases, I feel like are easier to avoid for me. I get attacked by mosquitoes everywhere I go. I have like 5 mosquito bites every day. So mosquito diseases really kind of scare me. Meningitis is another kind of scary disease in my mind because the symptoms appear in no particular order and some may never even materialize. So let's say I have, kind of a flu-like symptom and some headaches. Well, that could be meningitis. And I'm a hypochondriac, so I'm sure that if I don't get this vaccine, then every cough, sniffle, or headache is going to be me spiraling into thinking I have meningitis. Now, I especially need meningitis because I'll be going to Indonesia and Kenya. It's direct contact or an airborne virus, and it's an inflammation of the protective covering of the brain. So a very important part of your body, and I need to protect it. This vaccine costs $165. The polio vaccine I mentioned earlier is weekly changes. So the places where it's currently in changes weekly. There's a list sent out by CDC and WHO, and it lets you know. And so right now it's affecting Indonesia, Kenya, and Laos, and I think it was affecting China a week ago. It's not this week. So you really have to talk to a doctor or go to Passport Health to know what's going on with polio. It's transmitted through food and water, and it's $75. So after you turn 18, a booster is recommended. So I probably have already had the polio shot once, but I'm gonna need a booster. Rabies vaccine, you've probably heard of rabies when those animals are foaming from the mouth. Sometimes they're not foaming from the mouth. Sometimes they're just licking you and their saliva gets into a cut, a minuscule cut, and you can get infected. So you really have to be careful with stray animals when you're abroad. Don't let the animals lick you. I love animals and I feel like this is gonna be really hard, but every cute animal could be a danger. So this is recommended for Cambodia, China, South Korea, Indonesia, Laos, Taiwan, and Thailand. So a lot of the places I'm going, and they're $380 each. So you want 3 doses, and with the 3 doses, you don't need to be treated with hemoglobin if you do get infected by a rabies-ridden animal. So if you do feel like an animal has licked you and they have rabies, then you need to wash your hands for 15 minutes with soap and water, and then you need to go see a doctor right away. Go find a medical center. I think it would be a good idea to look up the medical centers for all the countries you're going to. I'm gonna do that. You should do that too. Yellow fever. Yellow fever is the last vaccine that I need on this long list. It's recommended for Australia, Cambodia, China, Indonesia, Kenya, Laos, Singapore, and Thailand. So also a huge group of the places that I'm going to. It's $235, and proof of yellow fever vaccine is actually required for entry into some places. So let's say I go to Kenya, which there is yellow fever there, and then I try to go to Laos. They're not gonna let me in unless I have a little yellow piece of paper that says I've gotten the yellow fever vaccine. Another thing about this, it's transmitted by mosquitoes, and one of the tips she gave me is to wear beige, gray, and green. A couple extras just for you. For mosquitoes particularly, do not put your sunscreen and your bug spray on at the same time because they become ineffective. So you need to put your sunscreen on first, and then you need to wait at least 10 minutes, and then you can put your bug spray on. And that way they'll both be effective. And they recommend 20% DEET in your bug spray. Also, to prevent traveler's diarrhea, you should bring Imodium. If you do start to get diarrhea, take the Imodium first, and then they also will provide prescriptions to an antibiotic to help. So there's 2 antibiotics or pills, they're not both antibiotics, but there's 2 pills that Passport Health will help get you prescriptions for. Malarone is for malaria if you're going to malaria-ridden areas, and Encephalitis is for traveler's diarrhea. So for Malarone, you want to take it 2 days before and every day you're in the area, and then 7 days after leaving. And you want to take it with a hearty breakfast. It can make you a little sick, a little nauseous. So you want to make sure you eat some food, take the pill, and eat some food. And you want to do it in the morning so that you don't have the weird dreams people talk about. So risk areas are city specific too. At this time, I don't have all my cities planned out for my trip. So she told me I could just send her an email once I know the cities, and then she'll help me plan out how many pills I would need. Azithromycin is the prescription I talked about for traveler's diarrhea. You take 2 tablets a day for up to 3 days, and you don't want to take antacids with this. Also, be aware that this affects your contraceptives. So let's say you take birth control, it makes it less effective. So use a little extra protection. Now is the next steps. So I know what vaccines I need. Now I need to set up my appointment to get them. I need to do this at least 1.5 months before. I need to buy beige, green, and gray clothes. I need to buy 30% DEET bug spray. And then I need to stock up my first aid kit with Imodium and other supplies and look up the health centers for the places I'm going to. Now last, we have the pricing table. This just shows the price of all the vaccines all together in one place. It has the quantities that I need and the total. It would be kind of pricey, so I definitely am going to want to call my insurance and see how much it's really going to cost. If you enjoyed this video and you enjoyed learning about my preparations for my Braggworthy Adventure, please subscribe, like this video, and comment below. As always, bye travelers.